Hey, Gator Nation, welcome back to an all new episode of the Respect Our Decision podcast, Pod of the People, guys. If you're not familiar with this show, guys, this is the show where we answer the questions that we are sent by you, our listener, on our Facebook group and in the comments of the videos. Each and every week, we try to do one of these episodes if we have enough to talk about. And right now, it just happens to be there's quite a bit to talk about in Gator Nation. Baseball doing great. Recruiting going on, obviously football right around the corner. So before we get to this week's questions, make sure if you're checking us out on YouTube, this is your first time stumbling across the show, or if you've just kind of been holding off, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, guys. Drop a like on the video. It helps us a great ton. Unlike Twitter, we're not hiding likes here, boys. So drop a like and leave a comment down below or a question for next week's show. Or if you missed it on the regular show, guys, drop a comment down below on what you think the Gators are going to do in Omaha in the College World Series. All right, boys, we're going to jump right into the questions, man. We got 11 or so questions this week. Going to jump right into them. Wes couldn't be here with us this week. Sorry, I just skipped right on the introductions because I'm so excited to get to these questions. I'm your boy, as always, with me, CJ the Man McCann.
What's up, guys?
Like I said, Wes is at sporting events with his kids this week. If you watched the main show, you would have already seen he had to drop out on us after doing a little bit of that. So let's jump right into it. First question, as always, Lucas, the man, ask a baseball question for CJ. Lucas asked, baseball question for CJ. With 3 portal commitments, who are the other guys we are going after in the portal, if you know of any?
Baseball is not as out there as football when you're talking about like portal recruiting. There are some names, and usually they don't come up until like the end of it. I think I mentioned Cash from Texas Tech, who entered the portal. We've already got one gentleman from Texas Tech, but he entered the portal as an infielder for Texas Tech. I think that's the other name that I've heard maybe, but I think now with Sear, I don't know if you go after him as hard anymore. I'd like to see some more pitchers being added, but again, we're still in the situation where you're waiting on coaches to leave and you're waiting on, Omaha to get over with. You're looking at kids wanting to know where they're going to go in the draft, what their draft stock look like. Is it worth it to come back to college? Do I just need to go play in the minors? It just depends on what the kid wants at this point. So we're going to see that kind of develop as we go. But definitely, if I'm asking for anything, I'd like to see some veteran pitching. But, when you're talking about veteran pitching, if they're really, really good, they're usually either going the major leagues or they're going to ask for a ridiculous amount of money. So you're going to be looking at some guys from, maybe the lower FCS mid-major schools that have done a great job that want to go play on a bigger stage, kind of like what we did with Hurst and Waldrop a few years ago.
Yes, sir. All right. Next question from our good friend Jed Keel. Jed asked, what do you guys think Mertz's stats look like this year? Jed, that's a great question. If you remember last year, I did a hypothetical about Mertz, and I was like, if you told me at the end of the season Mertz had 2,400 yards and say 24 touchdowns versus 10 interceptions, I would have said he had a pretty solid year. And he surpassed that last year. Did much better than I thought that. And of course, the results were still what the results were. I think we're in a reality this year where I could see Mertz pushing the envelope of 3,000 passing yards, and I don't want to say 30 touchdowns. I don't want to go there, but I could easily see another 27 to 28 touchdown passes this year. CJ, what do you think about that?
Yeah,
and that's DJ getting some snaps from him.
Yeah, I think we're looking. I think Mertz is going to get probably push 3,000 yards, maybe 25 touchdown passes, somewhere in that neighborhood. And if he does that, I think we're all really, really happy. Maybe the interceptions go up a little bit this year. Maybe we see him push the ball down the field a little bit more. Maybe those end up happening. But again, you're talking about a guy who only threw 2-3 interceptions last year. So,
yeah, and 2 of them were tipped ball,
Yeah. So if you add 3 or 4 onto that, we're still only talking about 7 interceptions. So I think again we'd all be very pleased with that.
Well, and you got to add in a couple of factors thinking about this. The offensive line should absolutely be improved. Um, so if he's not having to get absolutely chased from the right tackle position each and every play, that alone should help him in being able to set his feet and make a pass. And then I think he's got better weapons this year on the whole. I mean, obviously you lose Ricky, and that stinks. But you've got a year 2 Trey Wilson who should be a threat every time the ball snapped. You have Badger, who I think is going to replace Ricky, you know, admirable. He's going to do a good job. I really think, and he could do even better this year. He could be an unbelievable surprise. He's got the familiarity with DK. I think he got a year 2 Boardingham who should do a lot better. I mean, I think as a whole, I think the entire arsenal of weapons is better this year than what he had last year, where it was just like, is Ricky open? Is Ricky open? Is Ricky open?
Right.
All right. Jared White asked, and this is a good one for you. If we win it all, does Sully get a statue? Billy Donovan doesn't have a statue.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to build a statue of anybody that's not
Steve
yeah,
Spurrier, or Heisman winner.
yeah, Heisman Trophy winners. I just don't see that happening. If we're talking about building statues, somebody please build Mouse a statue. Because if there's anybody that deserves one right now, it's him. But Kevin O'Sullivan, I think he's worthy of whatever we can find to name after him at the stadium for sure. I doubt they build a statue of him because I just don't think Florida's going to do that for anything outside of football. But I think Kevin O'Sullivan has already placed himself into the, Mount Rushmore of Florida coaches. I think that you can make that case for sure. He's definitely the greatest baseball coach we've ever had. He's pretty much one of the greatest baseball coaches that has ever coached college baseball. So I think that, whatever accolade they want to give Kevin O'Sullivan, I think he's earned it at this point. But definitely another championship won't hurt your resume at all.
John Mosley has a couple of questions for us. His first, who do you think will be the best O-lineman this year?
Slaughter.
You know what? I think that kid is sneaky good. Honorable mention to Barber because I think a healthy Barber is really going to be jam up, but Slaughter just seems to have the goods, man. I think
Slaughter, Barber, Crenshaw, Dixon. You can pick between those three, I think.
But Slaughter, yeah, I think not having to look over his shoulder to see if Kingsley's coming back from the ankle injury and stuff like that, and just focus on his craft. I think that kid's going to be really, really solid. Second question: who will be the best DB as far as overall play or best stats?
I hope it's Jason Marshall.
I think if he stays healthy, it's Devin Moore. I don't think it's questionable, but I agree with you. I hope it's Jason Marshall because we're going to need him to be. Absolutely. I think we know what Devin Moore brings to the table if he stays healthy. We need Jason Marshall to be what we wanted Jason Marshall to be. I think Will Harris has heavily invested in making that young man what he knows he can be as well. And I think Jason Marshall needed that. I think he needed someone to come in and say, I've coached NFL DBs. You can be an NFL DB.
Right.
All right. Ryan Parker asked, a little off cuff right here. Who is the most famous person you've ever met? Who is the person you were most excited to meet in case they were not the same person?
The most famous person I've ever met? I've met Charlie Ward Jr. a bunch. When he comes from your hometown and you went to high school on Charlie Ward Boulevard, you meet him a lot. I've met Ron Simmons before. Those are probably the two that come to my mind. I haven't met a lot of famous people.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. Ron was cool. Ron was a cool guy. He came and did a charity event in town. Florida State guy as well. So when we're right up the road from Tallahassee, you meet a lot of those guys. But If two came to mind, it's probably those two.
Well, one is a cheat. I played football all growing up against Hines Ward all the time.
Right.
So I got to talk to Hines all the time after games and stuff, and he lived right a few miles from me. So that's kind of a cheat, when you do that. It's just luck of the draw in life. But man, I used to go to Braves games all the time in the early 90s, and I met Deion so many times at Braves games. Deion Sanders would sign before each and every game for 20, 30 minutes. He just hit the net right behind the batting cage and sign and sign and sign and sign. And at one point I had 9, 10 autographs from Deion laying around because I would always be there, man. And was the nicest dude to the fans you could ask to be. Now I know a lot of people have their takes on Deion, but when you're that popular as he was in, say, 1991, you're Deion Sanders in 1992, to sit there and spend all that time autographing for kids, fans, adults, whatever, it really spoke to me about what kind of person he really was. So great guy, Deion, back then. Don't know about so much now what he is.
Man, cut the bull jump.
Cut the bull jump. Don't get them wings on my couch. All right. Ryan Guerin with 2 questions. When the greatest season we will have ends, what coach on staff would hurt the most to lose to a head coach position promotion elsewhere?
Maybe Ron Roberts. I mean, there's really not.
I'm going to tell you
really
right now,
anybody else that I
he's
can
been a defensive coordinator before. I could see Will Harris getting another run somewhere sooner than later because he did it at Georgia Southern already. I could absolutely see somebody, if our DBs come out and play fantastic this year, and I know we're doing a lot of hypothetical here, but that's what a lot of these are. I could absolutely see somebody coming after, and it doesn't have to be a big time school. It could be any school in the country. It could be Pitt. It could be, name it. Could come after Will Harris and say, look, we want you to be defensive coordinator. You've already done it. Maybe Helton down there at Georgia Southern speaks highly of him and whatnot. And Oh, here's a good one. We got a wrestling question from Ryan Guerin. Do you think Jim Cornette deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame? Why do you think he is being left out? I 1,000% believe if there is a wrestling Hall of Fame out there, I don't care who runs it, Jim Cornette should be in it. Jim Cornette is one of the greatest wrestling minds to have ever walked this planet. I don't care what your dislikes for the man are. I mean, he's loud, don't get me wrong, but the man knows the business better than anyone. The only problem Jim Cornette has is maybe he doesn't want to let the old days go. And I think a lot of us kind of resonate with that anyway. Why is he being left out? I mean, I think that might have had some do with the Vince stuff. I mean, I think you could see him now maybe get in at any time. But I think that a lot of that old regime, especially with Kevin Dunn still working in WWE, because Kevin Dunn hated Jim Cornette. And that he just left a few months ago. So, CJ, I know you.
Jim Cornette's the greatest manager of all time.
Oh,
in my book, I put Jim
outside
Cornette
of Heenan over Heenan.
I take Cornette over Heenan. I love Heenan. I love Bobby Heenan, but Cornette was so good. He was a guy that you really thought you could beat up. Like, maybe I can't beat up the wrestlers, but if I got a hold of Jim Cornette, I could beat the crap out of that guy. He was so good at getting heat on his guys. He could talk better than just about anybody. He'd say all kinds of crazy stuff. He's like, yeah, I went to school with a girl. Her name was Virginia. We called her Virgin for short, but not for long. And, he would say stuff like that and just make you laugh. I love Cornette's stuff. Personally, Cornette, he's hard. He's an acquired taste. A lot of people don't like Jim Cornette. There's a lot of stuff that Cornette says that I don't agree with and I don't like. And I think that's the reason he's not in the Hall of Fame or in the WWE Hall of Fame, because Jim Cornette isn't going to sugarcoat anything. He's going to say what he believes. His opinions are his own; they're not paid for. So getting a guy like that is kind of, he said some off-color things in the past.
That's true.
And
Public
that has a lot. We live in an age now where public perception and canceling and all that other stuff is really prevalent. So I
especially as a
understand.
publicly traded company.
Right. So I understand why he's not. But of course, I think Jim Cornette, of course, is in the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. He's in the Cauliflower Alley Club. He's in all these other, Tennessee Hall of Fames and different things like that. So I think that, Jim Cornette, would it be cool for him to go in the WWE Hall of Fame? Sure. I don't think it matters a lot to Jim Cornette. I think he's, really satisfied with his career as a whole. And he's not going to, sugarcoat anything to kind of suck up to get a spot in WWE. I don't think that that's his MO. So I don't think it'll happen. I'll be shocked if it ever happens. But deserving wise, absolutely. If there's a Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, without Jim Cornette, then you're making a mistake.
All right. Now we got our 4 weekly questions from Justin Wood before we get out of here for the show. Thank you as always, Justin. Justin, every week, I don't know how you come up with 4 to 5 questions every week, but you never disappoint. Like I've said many times, you are the lifeblood that keeps this show over 10 minutes long. And we appreciate you. All right. First question. The Mount Rushmore of Florida coaches you would like to have a beer with. I mean, obviously Sully's on it for CJ. I know Sully.
Yeah, I'd like to drink a beer with Sully and Steve Spurrier, Urban, of course. I mean, these guys, Coach Billy Donovan. Me and I wouldn't say I'll go as far to have a Bud Light Lime with Dan Mullen, but
Jesus.
Coach Walton, the softball team. Those are great coaches. I'm trying to think of like
I'd love to sit,
coach.
Man, I'd love to hear the philosophies of life from Mouse. Like that dude is just, I mean, oh my God.
I'm trying to think of it like an assistant coach that would be really cool to have had a beer with. I don't know. Just nobody's coming to mind right now for whatever reason, but I was hoping somebody would.
You wouldn't want to hang out with Steve Adazio?
I don't want to hang out with Steve Adazio.
You know what? I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it right now. I would absolutely, and I don't care where he's at now. I'd love to sit down with Will Muschamp and have a damn.
Oh, absolutely. Will Muschamp's cool dude.
That'd be some damn great conversations because that damn guy knows. I love Will Muschamp to this day. I don't care where he's at.
I'd sit down and have a beer with Billy Napier if we're
if he's actually going to drink it.
He might not. He might just watch me drink it, but I'd still like to have a conversation with the guy.
Is it Amstel Light? I mean, what's he drinking? What's Billy drinking?
Billy's a man. Well, Billy seems like a gotta be like a Coors kind of guy.
Billy is a Coors.
You think you don't see Billy Napier with the stubby little brown bottle with the yellow wrapper? You don't
a banquet.
Yeah, like a banquet kind of guy. You think?
Yeah, like he's been watching. He's been on a Yellowstone bender.
He really into Smokey and the Bandit. He loves Coors banquets.
And an El Diablo sandwich.
That's right, Dr. Pepper, and I'm in a damn hurry.
All right, next question from Justin. With Addison committing to Oregon, who do you think Florida will turn the heat up on now? First and foremost, it's got to be Solomon Thomas. Like at this point. You've got to, whatever NIL, bank you have for offensive line, the most, like the huge chunk of it has got to be focused on Solomon Thomas. Like, I don't know how you've got to, whatever your greatest pitch is, whatever that greatest reserved pitch is to try to get a guy, Solomon Thomas has to get all of it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, Rob Sale has to go Super Saiyan.
Rob Sale grows hair. He's blonde, Super Saiyan hair.
Hold on now. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
We're live on the air. Billy Napier just tweeted out a smiley face emoji. We could have breaking news anytime.
We got a commitment for Jeremiah Smith.
Sure. Hayden Craig. Oh, wait a minute. We got a punter.
Let's go. Punters are people too, baby. Let's start hating.
2025 punter Hunter Hayden Craig is committed. It's a full ride scholarship offer.
5-star, baby. That's what it says in his bio.
No.
The Coles kicking camp. Is that
My Lord.
like, who is that? Is that like Coles, like the clothes? Is he spending all his Coles cash or
Coles? What are you talking about?
It's what he says. He's like with the Coles kicking camp.
Oh God Almighty! I can't follow this. I'm not Nick De La Torre. I don't know about punters.
I just opened my Twitter and I went to his account. I don't know what you want from me. He says he's from Bridgeton Academy, wherever Bridgeton Academy is. But I'm all for it. Great punters. We need one because I think Crawshaw's in his last year. So I hope the kid can punt.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. I mean, you're going to be watching this probably on a Sunday, but you know.
Yeah, you're going to see this Sunday and be like, "I got already committed. What the hell are they freaking out for?"
Hey, you know, we do this thing live, guys. It's how we roll. All right, 2 more questions. Justin Wood's next question: who is your favorite Florida Gator personality? Laura Rutledge, Aaron Andrews, Patrick Young? Look, Justin, I'm gonna keep it buck with you. I don't never mind looking at Aaron Andrews. I don't care what's going on.
I think we're all in that camp.
I might have to keep it real serious right now. Other than that, I tell you who it ain't. Jesse Palmer.
Not the Bachelor.
I'd rather listen to Mute than Jesse Palmer talk about anything.
Oh my God, the Great Bake Off or whatever else he does.
I love Doring though. I love listening.
Yeah, Doring's cool.
Doring's really nice to listen. You know, and Patrick Young.
Yeah,
I love Patrick and everything he does. But yeah. All right, last question. Your thoughts when the I'll get it right here in a second, man. This question reads a little tricky. Your thoughts when the Gators took it to Clemson. Thoughts on the pickups in the transfer portal as well for baseball. CJ, I mean, I think our thoughts are pretty obvious.
Yeah, I think I've kind of covered that at this point. What we believe, I think we've done a good job. We got a lot to replace in the infield, so no shock that we're really focusing on that because of the guys that you're losing or potentially losing in that spot. You know, you're losing your first baseman, you're losing your third baseman, maybe your shortstop, depending on how that goes. So there's a lot there. So I understand why they're trying to really load up on the infield. And then, of course, beating Clemson, we were stoked for that. We enjoyed that. The game against Clemson on Sunday was one of the greatest college baseball games I've ever watched. So awesome for the guys. Good luck in Omaha. You know, like I said, anything at this point, you're watching this on Sunday. I don't know how we're doing at this point. So hopefully the guys are kicking tail and continue to ride the momentum.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I watched that whole game Sunday. Oh my God. Like I was inside watching, then I had to go out and cook dinner on the grill for the family. I turned the TV on outside, was watching it. I literally lit my grill right when they hit the 3-run homer to tie. I about turned my whole grill over right there in the yard.
Harrison, I almost stuck my head in the grill and just closed the lid.
I damn near I was making wings on the smoker, and I damn near threw a whole bunch of them on the ground when that ball got hit to center field. And he ran back because I was like, this is it. And then he caught it, and it was an emotional up and down game, man. But that's what makes it fun, man. And to get that win at the end of that game just made it so much more fun of a ride. Hopefully we get to do that a couple more times before it's all said and done. All right, guys, that is going to do it for this week's episode of Pod of the People. Thank you, as always, guys, for sending in your questions. We love answering these. I know y'all wanted some Dusty impersonations every week, but we didn't have any Dusty questions.
Rest in peace, Dusty Rhodes.
Yes, Dusty Rhodes passed 9 years ago yesterday, and man, the world is a sadder place without the greatest.
The greatest of all time, man. Dusty Rhodes, the little plum of thun that come out of the ditch. You know, I love I love Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes, you can take a lot of what he says to the bank, and you know, just the greatest. You know, rest in peace to Dusty. You know, the living him, Terry Funk, you egg sucking dog. You sent old the Korean giant Pac Thong to come over there beat up Dusty Rhodes and Terry Funk, you egg sucking dog.
Never fails to let the
Yeah,
people down, man. That's
that's
what we're
right.
talking about right there.
We're not gonna.
You got to give the people what they want.
That's right. You got to give them what they want.
All right, guys. Thank you as always. Make sure you send in your questions for next week's episode. If you have a question you want to drop in the comments below, make sure you do that. We'll do our best to get to them. And until then, guys, enjoy your weekend. Be safe. Go Gators in the World Series. We love
Go
y'all.
Gators.
Get it done, baby.
Beat A&M. Let's go, baby.